Turning Point, like so many other nonprofits, businesses, and families, has experienced a 2020 filled with uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and a newfound ability to adapt to circumstances that are anything but normal. Our organization provides services that are vital and often life-saving for those we serve. So while the COVID-19 pandemic provided challenges for our team, ceasing to operate was never an option. We knew that we had to be flexible, diligent, empathetic, and as resilient as our clients to get through these challenging times. Our strategy is simple. Put the well-being of our clients at the forefront and understand that this pandemic would only heighten the impact of the emotional trauma they've endured. Seamless service provision has been critical, and I am proud to say that despite all the barriers this health crisis has caused, our team hasn't skipped a beat. Our work has continued uninterrupted, and our clients have received the holistic, effective, and life-changing services Turning Point has become known for. But we can't stop now. With lingering doubts about what lies ahead, we need your support now more than ever. Our community support for our mission is critical to our ability to sustain the level of service that our clients deserve. And with rising numbers of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse cases due to the pandemic, we simply must have a strong financial foundation that allows us to focus on healing for our clients with no decrease in service capacity or excellence. From all of us at Turning Point, thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for acknowledging that domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse are real, and they impact your neighbors, your friends, and your family members. But most of all, thank you for taking the next step. Your financial gift to Turning Point will ensure that we can answer every call, give every child a chance to tell their story, hold the hand of every sexual assault survivor, and be a safe haven when those fleeing violence need a safe place to lay their head. You are the beacon of light when once there was only darkness.
The last year has been quite difficult. As we know, everybody's kind of in disarray. But when you come to trying to keep people safe in a shelter, in a communal living space, and you know that they've also been isolated more than they normally had been, the abuse has heightened. And so then you have now the fear of leaving that abuser and him finding you, but you also have the fear of coming in to that communal living space.
Well, at the start of this pandemic, we saw a big decrease in cases, and that's because children were stuck at home. They weren't able to report what happened to them. They didn't have access to teachers and family members that they might normally see. And so it was a little quiet for a while. As schools started to open 1 to 2 days a week, we started to see an increase in cases.
We do sanitizing throughout the shelter several times a day. It's all documented to make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks. Unfortunately, we had to close our playroom because we could not have the children in there playing and be safe and social distanced.
And all this cleaning can be very taxing for the staff, but it also is very expensive to be able to purchase all those items.
I think that the trauma and the stress has absolutely increased. Our counseling has increased, trying to provide that service to alleviate that pressure. But I think it's working because what we've seen during this year, even though it's been so difficult, we have seen clients that have never worked before get employment and get employment safely. They've taken their lives back, and they've gotten places of their own and are sustaining, which is huge.
Now that our state is opening back up, we have started to see the increase in clients for the Sexual Assault Resource Center. So even though we continue to see a large number of child abuse cases, and that number will probably continue to grow, We are so thankful for the community support that we receive because that allows us to serve these children, and they deserve to heal.
Hey, what's going on? Good morning. Just want to say thank you, Turning Point, for letting the Steve Smith Foundation and also our volunteers to come and infiltrate the shelter and be able to love on some folks. Also paint some walls and make some picnic area, just some seating areas. We just love the opportunity we get to serve you guys. There's not a lot of people that when we serve, we come out of it better than we did going in. And Turning Point, you are those people. We love you and we thank you. We're privileged and honored to be serving in partnership with you. And we look for 2021 to be an opportunity that we continue to keep serving, even though 2020 has been a little weird, but we're coming out guns a-blazing 2021. Look forward to serving with you.
Hello, I'm Wyatt Tucker with Parks Heating and Cooling. Turning Point has always been very special to the Parks family. My father was an orphan child at 14. He grew up in a domestic violence home and household. So our family has always understood the importance of Turning Point and giving back to Turning Point and helping them out. It's something that is aligned with our vision and our purpose so that everybody in our company is able to help and contribute to our main cause. We have seen the big difference in what Turning Point has done in the community, and we have helped them out in the past, and we continue to do that moving forward in the future, and we hope that you feel the same.
I always knew something was wrong. You know, from the time I could remember, I always had this feeling like I was going to be raped, like from the time I understood what rape was. Then I finally had a granddaughter. And when she was 19 months old, I had a dream. And in my dream, I had an uncle say to me, "Are you still going to keep our little secret?"
I met my abuser through a long-distance relationship. It started and I eventually moved here. I just remember being in the truck with him, and he just looked over me and he just smiled. This smile that is just a scary smile, not a good smile.
Timeline, they figured that I started getting molested was when I was 19 months old.
He would go through my receipts in my pocketbook, and he would say, "Oh, well, I see you went to Target today, and why didn't you tell me you were going to Target, and what did you buy, and how long were you there?" So again, it wasn't verbal or physical but it was telling me that I better not leave the house because this is getting worse.
Little by little, I just kind of, accepted it. Then a few years went down the road and I had a family member die. I went to the funeral. Across from me was another uncle. And I said, I wonder if you did something to me when I was little. You know, these little memories just started coming. And I had introduced my husband to him, and when I introduced my husband to him, I said, Mike and I were always really good buddies. And when I said we were buddies, he got a really funny look on his face. So then I knew that he had done something. that we were special buddies.
I was in the car with him, and I was pregnant. I was about 8 months pregnant, and I was on the phone with a friend. I was just saying about him being mean to the dog, and oh, we're fighting or what, something's going on. And after I was off the phone with her, I hung up, and he grabbed me by my breast. He looked as if he turned into a monster right then. And he had the handprints was there for days. I was just in shock at this point.
He started molesting me when I was 3. So that was the second uncle. A few years ago, I had a nervous breakdown. And it wasn't until then that I went through EMDR therapy and all the memories came. It was like playing a video or a movie in my head. Everything that happened came out. Me, the little girl, being taken down the hall, those little white shoes that they put on you, when you first learn to walk.
If I was there, my daughter was asleep, and if I didn't give in to having sex with him, he would rape me. And it is rape, yes. And in the bathroom floor, and he just acted as if it never happened,
For me, Turning Point came into play after my therapy, because I want to give back. I want to do everything that I can, so I volunteer there. I want to do everything I can to help other people. There's a lot of us out there. We're not alone. We feel like we're alone sometimes. Most people don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. But for me, talking about it, it helps me. I know that it's not my fault. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing.
I kept calling the domestic hotline. I watched YouTube videos to figure out what was happening to me. And I just kept on because I knew I could not lose my truth, because I knew, and I felt like I was getting deeper and deeper in his truth, which is not real, So I just kept calling, and they told me what to do. And every time I had a question, I would call, and finally I just left. And I got there, and I said, here I am, please help me,
If I don't stand up and fight, then they win. But if I can stand up and have a voice and help somebody else, just my story helps somebody, like, you're not alone. You're gonna have really bad days, no matter what. You're gonna have triggers, you're gonna see something, you're gonna see a guy with a little girl and you're gonna think, oh my gosh. Or you're gonna see something on the news or something on TV. It's gonna be there. But you just have to know you're okay.
I recommend Turning Point because they are good, safe, and just loving people. And they give out their heart, and they give out what we need to do, the right information. And they understand what it is. I felt like I was on a different planet trying to explain things to people. But they spoke my language and they understood. I think about the ladies that are out there that are still dealing with this and don't know what to do. And I hope they just leave. You may have to lose it all. You may have to just leave everything and go. And it'll be okay though. It's so much light on the other side of this.
Everything happens for a reason. It has been the hardest saying to stand by, but I never stop looking for the reasons. Sometimes if you look back at the timeline in your life, it's funny the timing of how some things align. About 3 years ago, I was looking for somewhere where I could volunteer locally. My mom had suggested this place called Second Chance Boutique because it was very close to our house, and my parents and their small group from Forest Hills Church had volunteered there before. I got to learn that Second Chance Boutique gives all proceeds to an organization called Turning Point. Turning Point operates a domestic violence shelter, sexual assault resource center, and the Tree House Children's Advocacy Center. In my first year out of college, I finally got out of a very long, unhealthy relationship, and within 2 weeks, I was traveling when I was sexually assaulted by a man about the same age as my biological dad. The moment I was shaken awake and then realized what had been done to me is a moment I pray no human being ever has to endure. My assault happened in another state, far away from any family and friends. The second I got him away from me, I had no idea what to do, who I could tell, and I was completely in shock. I've never prayed so hard in my entire life than in that moment, as I had to let everything go and put it in God's hands. Otherwise, I didn't know if I could keep going. I then called the only person I felt I could tell in that moment. And I thank God for that person's strength and reaction to the situation, because he convinced me to call 911. For the first time, Law & Order wasn't just a TV show, as I had a detective walk through my own hotel room that morning. But something that wasn't in any movies or shows that I saw was this person who came with the detective, who called herself an advocate. But what I would call her is an angel. The first of many I would encounter. She was the person to take me to the hospital. As we walked into the ER, she knew to ask for a SANE nurse, which I learned stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Emergency. So everything was dealt with very carefully and without having to physically ask. This complete stranger sat with me for hours. She held my hand as I was being pricked and swabbed. Through me throwing up, having photos taken of the bruising around my body. As everything came to an end, I had to head to an airport for my flight home. The last thing she gave me was her business card and a list of 3 local advocacy centers. Since I wasn't local, she found this list in hopes that one could continue what she was doing for me, but here locally in North Carolina. On a day where nothing was familiar, comfortable, or peaceful, I get this list and see one of the names was Turning Point. Wait a minute, I knew this organization. It's been years, but I had volunteered for them. I packed my list safely away and finally was heading home. I chose to not let what was done to me take away anything I had worked for. I had such a hectic schedule following the assault, so I chose to put all my feelings, emotions, and fears into a little black box, and I shoved it as far away as possible. A few months went by, things settled down, and I was finally going to be home for a while. I knew it was time to face what was in that little black box. At this point, I had opened up to my mom and told her everything. But I could see the pain in her eyes and behind her voice as we would talk about things. As strong as she was, I hit a point where I needed to talk to somebody else. It took me a while, but having so many bad nights in a row, I decided to call the Turning Point's 24/7 hotline. It turns out that woman was someone I knew very well. She was one of my prom date's moms. I had no idea she did anything like this. And ironically, she just so happened to be on call the night I called in. Everything happens for a reason, right? I don't know if I would have continued this healing process if the timing and familiarity didn't come into play. To me, that was a sign that I was doing what I needed to do, what I had to do, and helped me keep a promise to myself that I'm doing everything that I possibly can do to prevent this man from ever doing this again to anyone else. It took me a few days, but I was in the Monroe area and decided to stop by the office after the call to see that mom and give her a hug in person. This also gave me the courage to find out what the next steps were I should take. Turning Point not only provided me an advocate who gave me guidance on the steps I should take and advice, as well as resources not just locally, but also in the other state where the attack took place, but also covered my counseling for many months. During these counseling sessions, I came to realize this traumatic event opened up many black boxes. It educated me on what were normal reactions and what they meant, as I had immense PTSD and I learned what triggers were for the first time. If you could pick one word to describe the overwhelming feeling caused by COVID-19 this year, I think we all would agree that word could be isolation. For the first time, I think the world can understand a glimpse into the feeling a survivor endures the days, weeks, and months to come following their attack. While the world seemed to be crashing down around us, I then lost my job. The one thing that I used as a distraction for everything that had been going on. So, after 8 months of counseling, through all of this, I decided to start my journey through the court system. I never went to court alone. My Turning Point advocate was always by my side, providing support and counseling through each step of the way, along with a very small but special group I call my team. I had no money and represented myself with my advocate, whereas this man, twice my age, has now at this point hired 2 lawyers, was dragging out the case local to me in order to appear in court. As a new date was approaching for another court date where he would be present for the first time, I wanted to fight harder than I have ever fought before. Come August, I finally got some protection. I'm a 25-year-old with 2 college degrees from Appalachian State University, and never would have believed that in my first year out of college, I would be a sexual assault survivor. As a survivor, it's something that you never just move on as some people would wish for me, but rather I'm learning to move forward. Throughout the beginning, I realized that sexual assault is the untouchable topic, which makes it hard to find help or find a community. I hope that my honesty may resonate with someone who has or is walking through such a difficult journey. And for those of you who need to hear this, it is okay to cry. It is okay to feel what you are feeling. And most importantly, you are not alone, and you shouldn't have to do it alone either. It's because of Turning Point that after a long period of healing and continuing to do so, that I am able to speak out for the first time publicly today. Turning Point is an organization that will forever be a part of mine and my family's lives. I can never truly repay the staff, the volunteers, and those who donate to Turning Point. It is because of you, Turning Point changed my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time tonight to listen to these heartfelt stories during our Beacon of Light holiday wish. They should be applauded and very proud of themselves for their incredible courage. I would also like to thank Pruitt Health for their loyal support of this event. Hi, I'm Renee Bragelet and the current board chair for Turning Point. As a former CEO and business owner, I've experienced how domestic violence, child abuse, and sexual assault affect not only those individuals personally, but also the financial hardship it places on our businesses and community. I am also a survivor. It happened to me over 30 years ago. There were no shelters, and at that time it was kept behind closed doors, and there was no one there to help in any form, not even counseling. The good news, the victories we have achieved since that time are astounding, and it's ignited a passion in this community like no other. But then 2020 came, and once again, victims found themselves locked behind closed doors, locked away with their abusers with no way to escape, no one leaving for work, and the children not going to school. While just being quarantined was difficult, the people we are here to support were fearing for their very lives. For one moment, stop and put yourself in their shoes. They were trapped with the person that they most feared all the time. I have said there are worse things than COVID because I can imagine what many were experiencing during this lockdown. It shakes me to the core, and I'm sure it does you as well. That is why I'm so thankful that even though we were forced to close our stores, our most significant form of income, we refused to close the shelter. For those that could get away, we have been there. Some came, but those that could not are coming in now at levels we have never experienced. The staff has worked tirelessly, keeping everyone healthy, following all the COVID-19 guidelines, which did not come cheap and is still ongoing. While grants are available relating to the pandemic, many other grants are being cut or even eliminated. While there are government funds to help during the virus, when it's gone, so too will its funding. Then, where will we be? I am grateful to everyone that has been supporting us for many, many years. We couldn't have gotten this far without you. I have said, however, we have taken a significant step backward in our journey this year and need your support now more than ever. That's why I stand here today in this crazy virtual capacity, asking you to dig deep into your hearts first and then into your pockets. We are at maximum capacity in the shelter, even utilizing hotel rooms at times. Our staff at the Treehouse are doing twice as many interviews as in previous times. Thank God we can again utilize trained volunteers to accompany our rape victims to the hospital, which has lifted some of the work hours. Not just our clients, but our team needs our help. The stress levels are high, and the need for additional qualified staff may come. Won't you please give so that we not only keep people safe, but so that we can continue to provide counseling, forensic interviews, court assistance, and so much more. Help us as we share the kind of help and hope everyone deserves and to live violence-free. The only way we can do this is with your financial support. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it had always been an event where we can shake hands, hug, and cry as a group of compassionate supporters. You may be even watching this video alone, but know that you are not, and that we are still that same group of supporters, that Union County will rise to this occasion and give generously. Again, I stand here as a survivor. I know what it feels like to go it alone, and ask that you please join me and give your generous financial support so that no one else knows that feeling. There are two ways to give. To use our text give option, text TP-WISH, that is TPWISH 2020 to 50155. Again, that is TP-WISH 2020, no spaces, to 50155. Or you can go to our website and give online at turningpointnc.org/donate. We will have the link posted below in the comments section. I thank you, and may God bless you for being a beacon of light for Turning Point. Thank you.